Lost Gate Ship, Book 1, by Jonathan. Back cover description. Trapped aboard an ancient alien starship with no control over its course, a diverse crew faces overwhelming mysteries, survival challenges, and interstellar dangers. As the ship follows a pre-programmed path deep into unknown regions of the galaxy, the crew must decipher its secrets, forge bonds of trust, and confront alien civilizations, some curious, others hostile. Their only hope lies in understanding the vessel's creators and the purpose of its journey, before it's too late. Published by Jonathan DeRoos. Copyright to 2025. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, or otherwise, without the prior written permission of the publisher, except in the case of brief quotations used in reviews or scholarly analysis. Chapter 1, Beneath the Ice. An Uneasy Alliance. The wind howled across the slopes of Mount Baker, carrying with it a fine mist of snow that sparkled under the high-altitude sun. The expedition's camp sprawled in the shadow of the mountain's peak, a chaotic mix of temporary shelters, high-tech research labs, and military outposts. It was the kind of operation that screamed importance, though to the untrained eye it looked like overkill. Colonel Jack Miller, standing near the edge of the camp with binoculars in hand, would have agreed. "Seems like a lot of effort for some rock and ice," he muttered, lowering the binoculars to reveal sharp blue eyes shadowed by skepticism. Dr. Eliza Carson, bundled in a heavy parka and clutching a steaming thermos, glanced up from her tablet. "You know better than that, Colonel. This rock and ice is already setting off equipment tuned to find metals we haven't even classified yet. Something's down there." "That's what worries me," Miller said, his tone clipped. The backdrop of progress. Earth in 2054 was a planet caught between hope and uncertainty. Humanity had made strides in space exploration, with permanent colonies on the Moon and Mars. Yet, closer to home, nations wrestled with resource scarcity and the ever-looming threat of geopolitical conflict. The expedition to Mount Baker was emblematic of this duality, a scientific endeavor cloaked in the trappings of military oversight. Miller represented the latter. His team of soldiers didn't mingle much with the researchers, keeping to their own perimeter and maintaining a watchful presence. "Why here, though?" he asked, more to himself than anyone else. Eliza answered anyway. The initial discovery was by accident. A geological survey looking for renewable geothermal energy found something else. This spot is ground zero for anomalies, gravitational distortions, unexplained energy readings. If you're asking me, this isn't just a find. It's history, waiting to be rewritten. The players. Eliza Carson had grown up with her head in the stars, studying astrophysics and archaeology in tandem, a peculiar combination that often drew skeptical glances from peers. Yet, standing on Mount Baker, she felt like her seemingly disparate passions were converging. She wasn't alone in her excitement. Raj Patel, a young engineer and technological savant, was the team's wildcard. Raj was already juggling 4 different handheld scanners, his excitement palpable. "This place is nuts," Raj exclaimed as Eliza joined him near the command station. "The ground beneath us is dense, way denser than it should be for basalt, and get this, there's no natural reason for it to be shaped like this." "What are you saying?" Eliza asked, her curiosity piqued. Raj grinned. "I'm saying that whatever's down there was put there on purpose." Further away, the Canadian contingent was less optimistic. Dr. Nancy Klein, a volcanologist with decades of experience, was unconvinced by the mounting excitement. "This has all the makings of a wild goose chase," she said during one of the daily briefings. "I don't see anything here that rules out natural geological formations." Colonel Miller, always pragmatic, let her vent, but kept his own counsel. To him, it didn't matter if it was natural or not. What mattered was control. First tremors. The breakthrough came on the 5th day of surveys. Beneath layers of ice and volcanic rock, the radar readings revealed a structure, a massive rectangular anomaly. "That's no cave," Raj said breathlessly. Eliza was at his side in moments, her eyes scanning the data on the monitor. "No, it's not. And it's not rock, either. Whatever this is, it's made of something other." The discovery sent ripples through the camp. Excitement surged among the researchers, while the military doubled their security protocols. Do you believe me now? Eliza teased Dr. Klein during dinner that evening. Klein frowned but didn't respond. Secrets of the ship. Excavation began in earnest, with heavy equipment and precise tools chipping away at the mountain's icy grip. By the end of the third day, a section of the anomaly was exposed, a smooth metallic surface that shimmered unnaturally under the harsh lights of the worksite. This metal. Raj ran a scanner over it. It's nothing like anything we've catalogued. It's practically self-healing. I scratch it and the surface fixes itself in seconds. Eliza crouched beside him, brushing a gloved hand over the surface. This has been here for thousands, maybe millions of years. It's not corroded, not damaged. How? Tensions and questions. The discovery brought tensions to a boiling point. During a nightly briefing, arguments erupted. This is a military matter now, Miller declared. If this thing has potential as a weapon or a threat, we need to secure it before anyone else gets a chance. Eliza slammed her hand on the table. We don't even know what it is. This isn't a weapon. It's a piece of history. Maybe a message. Don't turn this into another Cold War relic. The room fell into a tense silence before Miller relented, though the distrust between the factions was palpable. The awakening. The next morning, Eliza and Raj worked late into the evening on the exposed section of the ship. Strange markings covered the hull, glowing faintly under ultraviolet light. What do you think they mean? Raj asked. Eliza shook her head. Symbols like these, they're a universal language. The question isn't what they mean, it's why they're here at all. Before she could ponder further, her hand brushed against one of the symbols. The air grew electric. A low hum filled the chamber as the markings lit up, pulsing rhythmically. The ship's surface rippled, revealing a seam that widened into a doorway. Raj, tell me I didn't just do that. You definitely just did that, he whispered, eyes wide. Inside the ship. Stepping into the ship felt like stepping into another world. The interior was impossibly large, with walls that seemed to bend and twist as though the ship were alive. In the center of the chamber, a holographic star map floated, its light illuminating their awestruck faces. Coordinates blinked at its center, highlighting a distant point in the galaxy. It's not just a ship, Eliza whispered. It's a navigator. It knows exactly where it wants to go. The ground rumbled again. Miller's voice crackled over the radio. What's going on in there? Raj, studying the controls, tapped a glowing symbol. Suddenly the star map vanished, replaced by a schematic of the ship. Lights flickered as the ship roared to life, rising from its icy tomb. The departure. The entire mountain shook as the ship broke free. Massive slabs of ice and rock cascaded down its sides, revealing the vessel's sleek, alien form. Inside, the team held on as the ship surged upward. Did you mean to do that? Eliza shouted over the roar of the engines. Absolutely not, Raj replied. The star map reappeared, the coordinates flashing urgently. The ship's systems hummed with purpose as it accelerated toward the sky. Eliza's heart raced. Wherever this thing is going, it's not waiting for an invitation. As the ship climbed higher, leaving Mount Baker and Earth far below, she couldn't shake the feeling that their discovery was only the beginning. Chapter 2, Into the Unknown. The ship roared through hyperspace, a steady vibration thrumming through its metallic walls. Outside, the view was breathtaking. Stars stretched into brilliant streams of light, and an iridescent ribbon shimmered ahead, guiding the vessel through the void like a cosmic highway. For the 20 people on board, the awe of discovery quickly gave way to more urgent concerns. Survival, understanding, and the growing fear that they had no control over their destiny. The crew of 20, Eliza Carson stood in the ship's central corridor, trying to ignore the pounding in her head. The adrenaline from their sudden departure was fading fast, replaced by anxiety and exhaustion. Everyone accounted for? Asked Colonel Jack Miller, his voice sharp but composed. Heads nodded. Around them, the diverse team of scientists, engineers, and military personnel huddled in small groups. Most had barely unpacked before they were hurled into deep space. Jack stepped forward. All right, we handle this like any other op. Priority 1, inventory. Priority 2, recon. We need to know what this ship has and how much of it we can use. And third, we find out where the hell this thing is taking us. Raj Patel, the tech specialist, was already fiddling with a palm-sized scanner. You'd think something this old wouldn't be so alive. Alive? Asked Sarah Davis, a linguist, her brow furrowing. Every system I've pinged so far responds like it's adapting. This isn't just advanced, it's reactive. Exploring the unknown. The group split into teams. Eliza joined Raj and Sarah to explore the midship corridor, lit by glowing veins that pulsed faintly with light. Alien symbols decorated the walls, neither etched nor painted, but seemingly grown into the material itself. These aren't markings, Sarah whispered, tracing one with her gloved hand. They're part of the ship's systems. Raj scanned the patterns. They're layered, like they encode more than one thing. Language, perhaps, but also commands. Doors opened at their approach, some revealing empty halls, others filled with strange machines dormant in silence. They entered one chamber where the floor was transparent, revealing a swirling energy source below. Eliza knelt beside a console that shimmered to life as she neared. It's like it senses our presence, she said. Or it recognizes us, Raj replied, or what we are. The locked bridge, elsewhere, Jack led Olivia Park, a systems engineer, and a pair of soldiers to what they hoped was the ship's command center. They reached a vast domed chamber, the bridge. It's like a cathedral, Olivia breathed. Screens lined the room, and a central platform jutted out toward the main window, a panoramic view of hyperspace beyond. She approached the main console, hands hovering. No buttons, just gesture recognition. She moved and the console flickered to life. Jack crossed his arms. Can you fly it? No, she said flatly. The navigation's locked, but it's showing us something. A star map appeared, three-dimensional and slowly rotating. Dozens of nodes blinked along a glowing line. Waypoints. This ship's on a pre-programmed route, Olivia said. It's not random, and I don't think we can alter it. So we're passengers, Jack muttered. Or prisoners, she added quietly. Rations and realizations. In the central hub, Dr. Tariq Hassan addressed the crew. We've accounted for all supplies. Food and water are limited. 5 days max, maybe less, with full rations. Grim silence followed. There has to be a storage system, Sophia Vega, the biologist, said. This ship was meant for travel. There has to be more. Or it's expecting us to find it, said Sarah. If it's intelligent, maybe it's testing us. Miller didn't like that. We'll search every deck, and if we can't find anything, we ration, until we do. Mysterious machinery. Eliza's team found a sealed room humming faintly. The door wouldn't budge, but the air buzzed with energy. There's power behind this wall, Raj said. A lot of it. Can you get it open? Eliza asked. Not yet, but I'll keep working on it. Meanwhile, Amelia Carter, the ship's medical officer, began checking everyone's vitals. Stress levels were rising. Sleep deprivation, dehydration, fear. It's too early for this kind of breakdown, she told Jack. We need morale boosts, something. I know, he said. We need good news. First exit from hyperspace. That night, the ship shuddered. A deep hum vibrated through the hull. The lights flickered. Everyone raced to windows or the bridge. The ribbons of hyperspace dissolved into normal space. Before them hovered a stunning blue-green world, veiled in clouds and teeming with life. Eliza gasped. It's beautiful. Sensors activated automatically. Preliminary scans showed breathable atmosphere, vegetation, and possible life forms. It's like Earth, said Olivia. Don't get too excited, Jack warned. This ship's not slowing down. We're in orbit. But look, he pointed to the bridge console. Alien symbols flashed in sequence. Olivia interpreted as best she could. It's a countdown, she said, but I don't know what unit of time. Minutes? Hours? Jack pulled out a digital stopwatch. Let's find out. A temporary stop. After observing the countdown and tracking its progression, the team estimated they had approximately 30 hours before the next jump. That gave them time, but not much. We don't know if the ship will come back to this system, Jack said. So whatever we do, explore, gather resources, it has to be now or never. Teams began organizing for a possible descent. The ship, however, offered no easy method to launch anything. No obvious shuttle bay, no means of exit. The ship isn't ready for us to leave, Olivia said. Or it doesn't want us to, Raj added. The unshakable path. That night, Eliza stood at the observation deck, watching the planet rotate below them. We're not in control, she said softly. Jack joined her, silent for a moment. Then, no, but maybe that's the point. Maybe the ship wants to show us something, or take us somewhere we're not ready for. They stared at the world below, so close, so unreachable. and above them the countdown ticked on. Would you like Chapter 3 next? Thank you. Here's the full text of Chapter 3, Rest Stops, from Lost Gate Ship Book 1, neatly formatted. Chapter 3, Rest Stops. The hum of the ship was ever present, a low, resonant vibration that filled the air like a heartbeat. In the control room, tension was palpable as the crew gathered around the main console, the mysterious countdown timer glaring at them in bright alien script. How do we even know what this means? Dr. Amelia Carter, the linguist, gestured toward the timer. Her voice wavered between frustration and determination. It could be days, hours, or even minutes. Commander Daniel Hayes leaned over the console, his jaw tight. We can't take the risk of stepping off the ship without understanding how long we have. If it jumps to hyperspace while we're down there, we're stranded. That's assuming the timer even refers to the next jump, interjected Dr. Ahmed Patel, head of engineering. For all we know, it could be a system reset or maintenance cycle. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. 20 individuals, each an expert in their field, and not one of them could crack the alien language. Then we wait, Hayes said firmly. We monitor the clock. Whatever happens, we'll be ready. The countdown ends. As the final moments ticked down, the room fell into a tense silence. The alien numbers flickered briefly, then reset. 30 hours, said Patel, his voice breaking the silence. Relief rippled through the room. So it's a stop, Amelia said thoughtfully, her brow furrowing. A chance to rest, refuel, maybe even for passengers to disembark. Lieutenant Sarah Bennett, the team's pilot, crossed her arms. Rest stops for passengers, huh? So where are they? Her words hung in the air, unanswered. Exploring the ship. With the immediate threat of a hyperspace jump alleviated, the crew split into teams to continue their exploration of the ship. Hayes assigned himself to a team tasked with inspecting the ship's aft sections, an area that had remained sealed during their previous attempts. We need to understand this ship's capabilities, he said as they set out. If there's a way to get off, it'll be back here. The aft section was dimly lit, the walls lined with alien symbols and faintly glowing panels. Patel led the way, using a handheld scanner to map the area. Looks like a storage bay, he murmured as they came upon a massive set of doors. It took nearly an hour of trial and error to access the controls. When the doors finally slid open, a collective gasp filled the room. The shuttle bay. Inside were 5 shuttles, sleek and angular, with a design that seemed both functional and beautiful. They hovered slightly above the floor, held aloft by some unseen force. Short-range vessels, Patel said, his excitement barely contained. These could be how the original crew got down to the planets. Bennett approached one of the shuttles, running her hand along its smooth surface. If we can figure out how to operate them, we might finally be able to explore the planets we're passing. But not today, Hayes reminded them. Not until we know exactly how long we have at each stop. A critical discovery. Inside the nearest shuttle, Patel found a small, rectangular device tucked into a compartment near the pilot's seat. What's this? He muttered, carefully extracting it. It was lightweight, made of the same strange material as the ship's control panels, and activated the moment Patel touched its surface. Alien symbols flashed across its interface, and a faint hum emanated from within. This could be important, Amelia said, stepping closer. It might be some kind of key or a control device. Back in the control room, Patel and Amelia worked together to analyze the device. After several hours, they made a breakthrough. It's more than a key, Amelia said, her eyes lighting up. It's a translator. Patel nodded, pointing to the screen. We can use it to unlock systems, access the shuttles, and even decipher the alien language. Translating the unknown. As Amelia fed the alien text into the device, fragments of meaning began to emerge. Words like passengers, destination, and rest intervals appeared on the screen. This ship was designed for long journeys, she said, her voice filled with awe. The stops are for passengers to recover. That explains the timer, and why the ship didn't leave us behind. Hayes frowned. But where are the passengers now? And why is the ship still following its programmed route? Amelia had no answers, only more questions. Character depth. The crew reconvened in the common area that evening, their discoveries sparking conversations that drifted from the technical to the personal. Lieutenant Bennett shared stories of her time as a test pilot, her voice tinged with pride and nostalgia. Meanwhile, Patel spoke of his family back in Canada, his quiet determination to ensure humanity's survival evident in his words. For a moment, they weren't just a team of specialists. They were individuals, each grappling with the enormity of their journey. "I can't believe we're here," said Emily Carter, one of the younger scientists. "When I signed up for this mission, I thought we'd be studying Mars colonies, not flying through hyperspace on an alien ship." "It's overwhelming," Hayes admitted, "but it's also the opportunity of a lifetime." The second jump. As the 30-hour mark approached, the crew prepared themselves. They gathered in the control room, watching as the countdown reached its final moments. "This is it," Hayes said, his voice steady. The ship shuddered as it initiated its hyperspace jump, the familiar disorienting pull of acceleration filling the air. In an instant, the planet below was gone, replaced by the swirling void of hyperspace. "We'll be ready next time," Hayes said, his tone resolute. "We'll use what we've learned and uncover more of this ship's secrets." The crew nodded in agreement, their shared determination a beacon of hope against the unknown. Chapter 4: The Edge of Hope. The ship's constant hum was both a comfort and a curse. It was a reminder of the marvel they were aboard, and the prison it had become. Commander Hayes stood on the bridge, arms crossed tightly, watching the dwindling resource numbers on the console. 3 days of food, 3 days of water, 3 days of hope. "We need solutions," he said, his voice firm but betraying the frustration within. "And we need them now." Dr. Amelia Carter sat hunched over the portable computer, brow furrowed. "I'm trying, Commander. This device is helping us translate the language, but accessing navigation is like trying to crack a safe without the code. The system is locked." Hayes clenched his jaw. "Unlock it, Doctor. We can't just drift into oblivion." Tension in the crew. In the mess hall, the atmosphere was thick with unease. Conversations were quiet, fragmented whispers of despair and fragile hope. "I mean, what if the next planet isn't habitable?" Emily Carter, Amelia's younger sister and the ship's lead biologist, asked aloud. Her eyes darted between crewmates. "Then we improvise," Lieutenant Sarah Bennett replied, tone steely. "We've got a team of scientists and engineers. We'll figure something out." Jake Morales, the ship's mechanic, snorted. "Yeah, because a few wrenches and some duct tape are going to solve intergalactic survival." Sarah turned to him, gaze sharp. "You have a better idea, Morales? Or are you just here to complain?" Before the tension could boil over, Thomas Greaves, the ship's medic, raised his hands. "Enough. Let's not tear each other apart. We've got enough problems without adding each other to the list." Discovering the star map. On the bridge, Amelia finally broke through. "Commander, I've accessed the star map," she said, a mixture of relief and awe in her voice. A glowing holographic map materialized above the console, casting a blue hue across the bridge. Points of light connected by intricate lines flickered in 3 dimensions. "Where's our next stop?" Hayes asked. Amelia pointed to the map. "Here, near the edge of the galaxy." She hesitated, then swiped the display further, and after that, the ship is set to cross the void between galaxies. The room fell silent. The sheer distance of that journey stunned them. "How far is that?" Sarah asked softly. "Far enough that we might never see Earth again," Amelia replied, her voice almost a whisper. Exploring the ship. Determined not to let the grim reality paralyze them, Hayes called for action. "We're not giving up. Split into teams and sweep the ship. Floor to ceiling. There has to be food, water, weapons, something we can use." Team dynamics. Sarah and Jake were assigned to one team. As they moved through dim corridors glowing faintly with alien energy, Sarah broke the silence. "Do you always have to be such a pessimist, Morales? Do you always have to be such an optimist?" he shot back. She smirked. "It's called being a leader. Maybe you should try it sometime." "Yeah, well, I lead machines, not people," Jake muttered, but there was no venom in his tone. Discoveries. In one unexplored section of the ship, Sarah's team discovered a weapons room. Futuristic rifles lined the walls, humming with latent power. Sarah lifted one, reading the symbols near the trigger. Stun, kill, non-lethal settings. These weren't designed for war, they were designed for restraint. Jake whistled low. At least now we can defend ourselves if something goes wrong. Meanwhile, Amelia and Emily's team opened a sealed chamber and found racks of neatly stacked packages, alien food stores. Emily tore one open cautiously and sniffed. Smells like soy. Kind of. If it doesn't kill us, it's dinner, Amelia said, grinning. Hope rippled through the crew when word of the food spread. Relief softened hardened faces. Laughter returned. Personal connections. That evening, as the crew shared their first real meal in days, something shifted. I used to think space exploration was glamorous, Jake admitted, chewing thoughtfully. Now, I'd kill for a greasy burger and fries. Same, Emily chuckled. I'd settle for good coffee. Coffee's overrated, Sarah declared, drawing mock outrage. What? Tea is superior, she defended. Blasphemy, Jake replied, throwing his hands up. Laughter erupted around the room. In that moment, they weren't lost explorers. They were human again. Dropping out of hyperspace. The moment didn't last. The ship shuddered violently, sending food containers skidding across the table. Alarms flared across the bridge. Bridge, what's happening? Hayes barked over the comms. Amelia's voice came through, urgent. We've dropped out of hyperspace. Commander, you need to see this. The crew raced to the bridge. Before them loomed a planet, alive with energy and artificial light. Cities shimmered beneath a twilight sky, stretching across continents. It was unmistakable. Civilization. Is that intelligent life? Sarah breathed. Looks advanced, Amelia confirmed, eyes wide. Suddenly the console lights began to flash in rhythm. A deep chime echoed across the bridge. We're being hailed, Patel said, staring at the symbols racing across the screen. Hayes took a breath, squared his shoulders, and stepped forward. Let's see who's calling. Here's the fully polished version of Chapter 6, Surviving the Void. The gate ship raced silently through hyperspace, its sleek, ancient form slicing through vibrant streams of distorted starlight. Inside, however, the atmosphere was anything but peaceful. Tension gripped the 20-member crew as the reality set in. They had 15 days ahead in the void between galaxies, and barely 1 day's worth of water left. On the bridge, Jack Miller stood at the helm, arms crossed and face grim. We've made it through worse, he said over the comms. We'll get through this too. I want exploration teams moving now. We're not stopping until we find a solution. Section 1. Desperation and Determination. The crew broke into teams and fanned out into the ship's unexplored corridors. Every step carried urgency. This ship's huge, Sarah Bennett said to Jake Morales as they passed rows of sealed doors. There's got to be something. Water tanks, a purifier, anything. Jake's dry chuckle echoed. I'd settle for an alien rainstorm. Maybe there's a weather machine buried somewhere. Meanwhile, Amelia Carter darted from panel to panel with her translator device, muttering, There has to be something hidden here. These markings can't all be decorative. Thomas Greaves, following her lead, placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. You'll find it, Amelia. You always do. In the background, tension escalated. Arguments flared in the mess hall about rationing. Others sat quietly, staring at their empty cups, refusing to speak aloud what everyone feared. Section 2. Discovery of the synthesizer. 12 hours in, a team led by Sarah and Jake entered the ship's mess hall. It was silent, lit with a soft blue glow, alien etchings pulsing faintly along the walls. At its center stood a curious machine, sleek, cylindrical, humming faintly. What is this? Jake whispered, circling it. Amelia rushed in moments later and ran her translator device over the symbols. Her jaw dropped. It's a synthesizer, she breathed. It can create water, food, maybe even tools. Jake raised an eyebrow. Like a vending machine for survival? Sarah typed the word water into the interface. A moment later, a clear glass formed in a flash of light, filled with crystal-clear liquid. Cheers erupted. Jake took a tentative sip, then grinned. Tastes like hope. Section 3. Expanding Comforts. Word spread like fire. With cautious optimism, the crew began using the machine. Hot bread, fruit-like foods, even coffee, all slowly recreated from their translated entries. Can it make pizza? Jake joked. It can, Amelia replied with a smile, though I wouldn't trust alien cheese. Then came another breakthrough, a lower deck with fully functional showers and restrooms. Clean water and a shower in the same day? Sarah said, stepping into the facility. I must be dreaming. The morale shift was instant. Laughter returned. Jokes resurfaced. Even Patel was spotted humming down the corridor. Section 4 World Building through Exploration. The discoveries didn't stop there. As the ship opened itself further, the crew realized just how prepared its builders had been. The observation deck, a breathtaking dome with panoramic windows offering a dazzling view of hyperspace. The swirling ribbons of light mesmerized the team. The uniform room, alien garments that automatically resized to fit human bodies, durable, lightweight, and surprisingly comfortable. The recreation chamber, an entertainment room with holographic games, puzzles, and simulations, baffling yet amusing the crew. They weren't just crossing space, Amelia said. They were living here, like we are now. Section 5. Character Development. With the crisis momentarily eased, the crew had time to reflect. Jack confided in Thomas in a quiet corner of the bridge. I've led missions before, but never into the unknown. Never like this. You've kept us alive, Jack. That's what matters, Thomas replied. Amelia and Sarah shared stories of Earth. Family dinners, snow in Canada, their father's stubborn optimism. He always said the stars would be our salvation, Sarah said quietly. I just didn't think I'd be this far from home when he was proven right. Jake, always the joker, lifted spirits with wisecracks and impressions. But alone in his bunk, he stared at a worn photo from Earth, his kid brother grinning with a baseball glove in hand. They all missed something, but they had each other. Conclusion, a glimmer of hope. On the 15th day, the crew assembled on the observation deck. Hyperspace glittered beyond the glass. Cups of synthesized water were raised high. We're still here, Jack said, and we're going to keep going. A round of cheers echoed through the room. Whatever lay beyond the void, whatever planets or civilizations waited, they would face it together. The gate ship surged onward, silent, mysterious, and alive, while its crew, once desperate, now burned with purpose. They had survived the void, and the journey was just beginning. Chapter 7. The Planet of Mystery. The gate ship dropped out of hyperspace with its familiar hum. For the first time in what felt like ages, the crew wasn't greeted by the void or a hostile threat, but by beauty. Below them, a planet shimmered with emerald forests, sapphire oceans, and golden deserts, glowing under the light of a distant sun. It looked like paradise. Jack Miller stood at the bridge's viewport, hands behind his back. It's beautiful, he said softly. Amelia Carter, standing beside him, scanned the readings. No life signs, she noted, not even microbial. It's strange. The ecosystem looks untouched, thriving, but empty. Empty's fine by me, Jake Morales said, leaning back with a grin. We've had enough alien shootouts to last a lifetime. Sarah Bennett folded her arms. Let's not get complacent. We've got 30 hours. We use them wisely. Prepping for the surface. In the mess hall, excitement buzzed through the crew. Jack announced the landing party, himself, Amelia, Sarah, and Jake, despite Sarah's resistance. You should stay on the ship, Jack, Sarah insisted. We don't know what's down there. Which is exactly why I'm going, he replied firmly. If anything happens, I need to see it firsthand. Jake chimed in, grinning. I'm calling it now. Giant bugs. Definitely giant bugs. If they're real, Sarah said dryly, you're bait. Inside the alien shuttle, controls flickered under Sarah's hands. This system's backwards, she muttered. Backward aliens, backward buttons, Jake quipped. Let's hope they didn't reverse the landing gear. The planet's surface. The shuttle descended smoothly through thick clouds, revealing lush green canopies and glimmering rivers. They landed in a wide clearing, surrounded by towering trees and vibrant foliage. The air was crisp and sweet, unlike anything they'd experienced on Earth. It's like stepping into a dream, Amelia whispered. Jake examined a shiny, plum-like fruit. Think it's edible? Not unless you want to test alien ER protocol, Sarah warned. Then Amelia pointed toward the horizon. There. Look at that. A black, windowless structure jutted from the treetops, smooth, perfect, and utterly alien. Investigating the structure, the building loomed like a silent sentinel. Its surface was obsidian black, cool to the touch, unmarred by time. Sarah eventually found a panel embedded in the side. With a hiss, a hidden door slid open. Inside, the room was silent and cold, dimly lit by glowing glyphs along the walls. At the center were 30 chairs arranged in 3 perfect rows. Each chair bore alien symbols that shimmered softly in hues of teal and violet. What the hell is this place? Jack murmured. A conference room, Sarah guessed. Alien movie theatre, Jake offered, plopping into one. Maybe they were into sci-fi too. Out, now, Jack ordered sharply. Jake rose, sheepish, while the others fanned out, studying the layout. Amelia scanned the symbols, her translator picking up fragments, frustratingly vague terms like mind, journey, connection. This place is active, she said. Faint energy, but something is still running. Frustration and discovery. As time dwindled, so did their patience. Every scan is a dead end, Sarah muttered, banging her scanner against her palm. I'm telling you, this was an alien dentist's office, Jake said. With 30 chairs? Amelia snapped. They had a big family. Jack stepped in before the tension flared. Sweep the room again. Look for anything new. In a quiet corner, Amelia spotted a faint engraving on the back of one chair, a curved circular pattern that resembled a star map. She snapped a photo with her portable scanner. This might be something. The race against time. The countdown loomed. Jack made the call. Back to the shuttle. Now, we're not risking being left behind. They boarded just in time, lifting off as the structure vanished beneath the clouds. It doesn't feel right, Amelia said, staring down. We'll be back, Jack assured her. We're not done with this planet. Narrow escape and reflection. The shuttle docked. Moments later, the gateship surged back into hyperspace. On the bridge, the team debriefed, Amelia showing the strange star map engraving, Jake making jokes about alien recliners, and Sarah quietly studying the symbols they'd brought back. Do you think we'll ever find out what they were for? Amelia asked Jack later. Eventually, he replied, we'll figure it out, one mystery at a time. As hyperspace blurred outside the viewport, the crew found comfort in their unity. Whatever the chairs were, seats for travellers, tools for exploration, or something else entirely, they were one step closer to understanding the purpose of their journey. The gate ship hurtled forward, chasing secrets through the stars. Chapter 8, The Descent into the Abyss. The gate ship shuddered as it exited hyperspace, its massive frame stabilizing in orbit around a dying red star. The bridge dimmed under the star's sickly light, bathing every surface in flickering shades of crimson and gold. Looks unstable, Sarah Bennett muttered, studying sensor data. Surface activity's off the charts. Amelia Carter pointed toward the view screen, where a faint glimmer hovered near the star's corona. What's that? The sensors zoomed in. A derelict space station, massive, dark, and weathered by time, floated listlessly, scarred by damage and silence. Its design mirrored the gate ship's, sharp geometry, luminous etchings, and a haunting sense of purpose. Same architectural signature, Jack Miller said, stepping forward. It was built by the same civilization. Energy readings are minimal, Patel added, but it's still alive in some way. Jack's eyes narrowed. Prep the shuttle. We're going in. Preparing for exploration. The shuttle bay echoed with the clang of gear being secured. Jack, Amelia, Sarah, and Jake Carson suited up, the mood unusually quiet. Jake adjusted his helmet with a smirk. Let me guess, this thing's ancient, creepy, and about to fall into a sun? Sarah snapped her visor shut. You're not wrong. Amelia powered on her scanner. This could be the breakthrough we need. If it's tied to the gate ship's creators, it might tell us why this ship was built, why it's following a course. Jack checked his gear, then nodded. Stay sharp. We move fast. Take no risks we don't have to. The shuttle detached with a low hum and descended toward the derelict. As they approached, the true damage became clear. Entire sections were crumpled, breached by unknown impacts. Panels flickered weakly and scorch marks spoke of a long-forgotten battle. Inside the space station. The airlock hissed, sealing them inside. Gravity was low, and the stale air carried the weight of centuries. Their lights illuminated vast corridors and walls engraved with pulsing alien runes. This place is a mausoleum, Amelia whispered. The team moved inward. In a large domed chamber, they found a cluster of consoles surrounding a monolithic device embedded in the floor. Sarah linked the translator to the main console. A pulse of energy rippled through the room, and then light. Holographic projections flickered to life. Stars, galaxies, and symbols spun in slow orbit overhead. It's a star map, Amelia said in awe. This station, it was a waypoint. One of the consoles activated a recording. An alien figure appeared, tall, slender, adorned in ceremonial robes, its glowing eyes radiating quiet intensity. The being spoke in a melodic tone, rendered in fragmented English by the translator. We are the Archivians, keepers of memory, guardians of the Nexus. Our civilizations fell to an unstoppable force. The Great Collapse erased our worlds. This station was our warning, our last breath. Beware the cycle. The Nexus is the key. The hologram trembled, then vanished. Jake stepped back, uneasy. Great! We're following a trail left by extinct ghosts. Jack stared at the now dark console. No, we're following a warning. Tensions and personal moments. Back aboard the gate ship, the implications of their discovery stirred unease. We're walking the same path they did, second-in-command Liam Brooks said, and they didn't survive. Amelia leaned against the wall, visibly drained. The station called the Nexus a key, but a key to what? Escape? Salvation? We follow the trail, Jack said. Whatever it leads to, it's important enough they left their final moments behind to guide us. Later that evening, Jake found Amelia alone in the observation deck. You okay? He asked gently. She offered a tired smile. Just trying to process it. A lost race, a cosmic warning, the weight of it all. Jake gave her a playful nudge. Well, if anyone can figure it out, it's you. Her smile grew warmer. Let's just hope the gate ship agrees. The station's imminent collapse. Alarms blared on the shuttle's comms. Sarah's voice cut through the noise. The station's orbit is degrading. Fast. It's being pulled into the star. Move, Jack shouted. Back to the shuttle. Now. They sprinted through collapsing corridors, dodging beams and falling debris. The structure groaned like it was screaming its final breath. At the archive chamber, Sarah skidded to a halt, eyes locking on a glowing data module embedded in the wall. I need that, she called. Jack hesitated, then gave a sharp nod. 30 seconds. Sarah raced back, extracting the module just as a support beam gave way. Jake lunged, grabbing her arm and pulling her clear. Don't make a habit of this, he said breathlessly. I'm not a full-time rescue service. Escape and reflection. The shuttle launched moments before the station erupted into flame, its remains consumed by the Red Star's fury. Inside, the team sat in silence, breath heavy, skin slick with sweat. Did we get anything? Jake finally asked. Sarah held up the data module. We'll find out. Back on the gate ship, Patel and Amelia extracted fragments of information. Among them, a partial map, coordinates leading to a place labelled only the Nexus. If the Archivians believed it was worth dying for, Amelia murmured. Then we find it, Jack said, no matter what. Cliffhanger ending. The hyperspace countdown began. The gate ship's engines hummed with renewed purpose. On the observation deck, the crew gathered in silence, watching the void swirl beyond the windows. Jake broke the quiet. We're chasing ghosts. Jack looked out at the stars. No, we're chasing the truth. With a low roar, the gate ship jumped, leaving behind the ruins of the Archivians and flying headlong into the unknown toward the Nexus. Chapter 9, A Path Without Return. The hum of hyperspace filled the gate ship as the crew gathered in the command room. The data module from the ruined space station was uploaded into the ship's computer, its contents flickering across the large central display. Amelia Carter stood at the controls, her fingers moving deftly over the interface. Here it is, she announced, stepping back. The Archivians' purpose for this ship. The crew leaned forward as alien symbols danced across the screen. After a few moments, the translator began to render the text into human-readable fragments. This vessel, Amelia read aloud, her voice steady despite the growing tension, was designed to carry its passengers to a habitable planet near the outer edges of the universe. A new homeworld. The room fell silent. How long? Jake Carson finally asked, breaking the stillness. Amelia hesitated, then tapped a few keys. A star map appeared, showing the gate ship's current position relative to its destination. A faint line traced the ship's trajectory, snaking past galaxies and through vast expanses of emptiness. Over 200 years, she said quietly. The weight of her words settled over the room like a heavy shroud. A growing divide. Jack Miller took a deep breath, stepping into the center of the room. All right, let's focus. This doesn't mean we're giving up, It just means we have to figure out how to change the ship's course. And how do you suggest we do that? Liam Brooks, the second-in-command, crossed his arms. We can't even access half the ship's systems. Liam's right, Sarah Davis said. This ship is locked on autopilot, and we don't even know where the controls are. We'll find them, Jack said firmly. We have to. The room buzzed with arguments, theories, and frustration. Some crew members suggested focusing on survival, adapting to their new reality aboard the ship. Others insisted on finding a way to override the ship's course, even if it meant taking risks. Enough, Jack's voice cut through the noise. We're all in this together. We'll keep searching for answers, and we won't stop until we find them. Understood? Reluctantly, the crew nodded. Discovering the hidden chamber. Amelia led a team to explore the unexplored sections of the ship, hoping to find something, anything, that could provide a breakthrough. Jake accompanied her, his flashlight cutting through the dim corridors. "This ship gets creepier the further we go," Jake muttered. "You'd think an ancient civilization could have installed some decent lighting." Amelia chuckled despite herself. "It's not exactly welcoming, is it?" Their search brought them to a sealed door at the end of a long corridor. Its surface was etched with alien runes, faintly glowing. "This looks promising," Amelia said, her heart pounding. She connected the portable computer to the door's panel, and after a tense moment it slid open with a low hiss. Inside was a circular chamber filled with rows of chairs, each identical to those they had found on the mysterious planet. The chairs were arranged in a perfect ring, their surfaces shimmering with faint energy. Symbols pulsed along the walls, casting an otherworldly glow. "No way," Jake whispered. "It's the same as the building on that planet." Amelia stepped into the room, her mind racing. This can't be a coincidence. These chairs, they must be connected to the Archivians' technology somehow. But what are they for? Jake eyed one of the chairs warily. "You're not thinking of sitting in one, are you?" "Not yet," Amelia said, though curiosity burned in her eyes. The code and the chairs. Back in the control room, Amelia and Sarah studied the data from the hidden chamber. They noticed similarities between the symbols on the chairs and the 30-digit code required to override the ship's autopilot. The chairs might be part of the system, Amelia speculated. Maybe they're the key to entering the code. Or they could fry our brains the moment we touch them, Jake added. The team debated the risks, ultimately deciding to focus on decoding the symbols before interacting with the chairs. Struggling with the code. Days passed as the science team worked tirelessly to decipher the alien language. Frustration mounted as every attempt to crack the code ended in failure. "This is impossible," Sarah said, throwing her hands up. "We're missing something, some piece of context." Amelia rubbed her temples, exhaustion evident on her face. The Archivians must have had a reason for making this so difficult. Maybe the code isn't meant to be solved by anyone outside their species. Jack entered the room, his expression grim. "Any progress?" Amelia shook her head. "Not yet, but we're not giving up." The pressure of their situation began to take its toll on the crew. Arguments flared and alliances shifted. Jack's burden. Jack confided in Amelia about his fears of failing as a leader. "I'm supposed to keep everyone together, but it feels like we're falling apart." Amelia's guilt. Amelia admitted to Sarah her regret for pushing the expedition forward. "I thought we'd find answers, not this." Jake lightened the mood with his quips, though he privately struggled with the enormity of their plight. Liam shared stories of his family back on Earth, while Sarah revealed her aspirations to make groundbreaking discoveries. These moments humanized the crew and deepened their bonds. A new planet. As the hyperspace journey neared its end, the gate ship's sensors signaled an impending stop. The crew gathered on the bridge, tension thick in the air. The ship emerged from hyperspace, revealing a breathtaking planet below. Vast forests stretched across its surface, interspersed with glittering lakes and winding rivers. Herds of alien creatures roamed the plains, and birds with iridescent feathers soared through the skies. "What is this place?" Amelia whispered, awestruck. The sensors scanned the surface, picking up faint traces of human settlements. Small villages dotted the landscape, their structures blending seamlessly with the environment. "Humans," Jake said, incredulous. "How is that even possible?" "Another mystery," Jack said, his jaw set, "and one we're going to solve." The crew stared at the planet in silence, a mix of wonder and trepidation filling their hearts. Cliffhanger ending. As the ship adjusted its orbit, the hidden chamber's symbols began to glow brighter, their pulsing rhythm matching the heartbeat of the planet below. "What's happening?" Sarah asked, her voice tinged with alarm. Amelia studied the readouts, her expression unreadable. I think the ship recognizes this place. The chapter ended with the crew preparing to descend to the planet, their minds racing with questions about the human presence and the purpose of the Archivians' enigmatic technology. Chapter 10. The Hidden Purpose. The gateship hovered silently in orbit, its massive frame casting a shadow over the lush, green planet below. The crew crowded onto the observation deck, staring down at the mesmerizing world. Rivers glittered like veins of silver, winding through dense forests that seemed to stretch endlessly. Nothing like Galvan, Jake said, breaking the silence. No towering cities, no hailing ships, just nature. And no visible settlements, Sarah added. That doesn't mean it's uninhabited, though. Jack nodded, his gaze fixed on the planet. We're going down. Amelia, Jake, Sarah, you're with me. Security team, get 2 volunteers prepped and ready. We'll take Shuttle 3. Amelia glanced at him. You sure it's wise to split resources again? We still don't know much about what we're dealing with here. Jack's tone was firm but calm. We need answers, Amelia. If we keep letting fear hold us back, we'll never learn the truth about this ship or ourselves. Touchdown. The shuttle descended smoothly through the planet's atmosphere, its shields shimmering faintly as they passed through thick white clouds. The landing site came into view, a broad clearing in the middle of a sprawling forest dominated by a structure that looked hauntingly familiar. That's the same design as before, Amelia whispered. Indeed, the building was a perfect match to the obsidian structure they had discovered on the previous planet. Its smooth walls reflected the sunlight like polished stone, and alien runes etched into its surface pulsed faintly. Jack maneuvered the shuttle to land a safe distance from the structure. All right, team, he said, his voice steady. Standard formation. Stay alert. The team approached the building cautiously, their footsteps crunching on the soft, mossy ground. The air was humid and carried a faint, sweet scent like blooming flowers. Jake ran his hand along the building's surface. Still as creepy as ever. It's like it's alive or something. Not alive, Sarah said, scanning the structure with her handheld device, but definitely active. The energy readings are faint, but they're there. Amelia pointed to the door, which was slightly ajar. Looks like we're invited in. Inside, the air was cool and still. The circular room was identical to the one they had found before, down to the 30 chairs arranged in a perfect ring. Each chair glowed faintly, the runes on their surfaces shifting and flickering like firelight. Okay, this is officially weird, Jake said. What's with these chairs? Are they everywhere? Amelia knelt beside one of the chairs, her brow furrowed. The symbols are the same as the ones in the hidden chamber on the gateship. They have to be connected somehow. Connected to what? Jack asked, his tone edged with frustration. Why are they here? What do they do? That's what we need to figure out, Amelia replied. But I wouldn't recommend sitting in one just yet. Jake smirked. Wasn't planning on it, Doc. The ambush. After documenting the room and gathering what data they could, the team exited the building. The sunlight was blinding after the dim interior, and it took a moment for their eyes to adjust. Movement, Jake said suddenly, pointing toward the forest about a kilometre away. Jack squinted, his hand instinctively moving to the weapon at his side. Humanoid figures stood at the forest's edge, partially hidden among the trees. Their clothing was rough and primitive, made of woven fibres and animal hides. They're watching us, Sarah said, her voice low. Not just watching, Jake added, tension in his voice. They're sizing us up. As if on cue, the figures raised their arms. A hail of arrows shot through the air, their tips glinting in the sunlight. Run! Jack shouted, pulling his weapon and firing a warning shot into the ground. The crew sprinted back toward the shuttle, the arrows whistling past them. Jake stumbled, letting out a yelp as an arrow grazed his shoulder. I'm fine. Keep going. The shuttle's shields flared as the first arrow struck its hull. Jack reached the ramp first, turning to cover the others as they scrambled inside. Go, go, go! He yelled, slamming the hatch shut behind them. The shuttle lifted off, its shields deflecting the remaining arrows. Inside, the team caught their breath, their hearts pounding. Well, Jake said, clutching his shoulder with a wince, so much for a peaceful first contact. Back on the gateship. The team returned to the gateship just as the hyperspace countdown hit 0. The familiar hum of the engines filled the air as the ship launched back into the void. In the command room, Jack led the debrief. The crew discussed the chairs, the ambush, and the possible connection between the Archivians and the planet's primitive inhabitants. "Why would the Archivians place the same structures and chairs on multiple planets?" Sarah asked. "And what's with the locals?" Jake added. "They looked human or close enough. How'd they end up here?" Amelia paced the room, her mind racing. The Archivians might have seeded planets with life, including humans. Maybe these planets were meant to be way stations, places to rest and regroup during long journeys. "Then why attack us?" Jack asked. "Maybe we look like a threat," Sarah suggested. "Or maybe they don't even remember their connection to the Archivians, if they've been isolated for long enough." The conversation trailed off as the implications sank in. The reckless decision. Later that night, Jack found himself in the hidden chamber on the gate ship, staring at the circle of glowing chairs. "Captain, this is a bad idea," Amelia said, standing in the doorway. "We're not making any progress, Amelia," Jack replied, his voice heavy with frustration. "We need answers, and we need them now." Ignoring her protests, he sat in one of the chairs. The glow intensified, and for a moment the room was filled with a low hum. "Jack!" Amelia exclaimed, rushing forward. "It's fine," Jack said, though his heart raced. "I don't feel any—" He stopped mid-sentence, his hand brushing against something beneath the chair. "What is it?" Amelia asked. Jack leaned down and pulled out a sleek, rectangular device. It was smooth and black, its surface lighting up at his touch. Symbols filled the screen, shifting and rearranging in complex patterns. "Looks like a tablet," Jack said, holding it up. Amelia's eyes widened. "That might be the key, but we don't know how to use it." "Yet," Jack said, determination hardening his voice. "We don't know yet." A growing mystery. The crew gathered in the command room to study the tablet. The symbols on its screen resembled those on the ship's interface, but they were far more intricate. "This could be it," Amelia said. "This could be the breakthrough we need to understand the Archivians' technology, and maybe even control the ship." "But it could also be a trap," Sarah warned. "We don't know what those symbols mean. For all we know, pressing the wrong one could shut down the life support systems." Jack placed the tablet on the table, his expression resolute. "We'll figure it out. Together." Cliffhanger. As the hyperspace engines roared, the ship travelled through hyperspace to its next destination. In the observation deck, Jack sat alone, the tablet resting in his lap. The symbols on its screen pulsed softly, as if waiting for him to make a choice. "We'll figure this out," he muttered, his voice barely audible over the hum of the engines. "We have to." Chapter 11. Near the Heart of the Sun. The gate ship's hyperspace engines emitted a sharp whine, a sound unlike any the crew had heard before. Jack Miller, standing at the command console, furrowed his brow as he felt the ship lurch. Moments later, hyperspace faded into a swirl of light and the ship abruptly decelerated, throwing several crew members off balance. "What just happened?" Jack barked, gripping the console for support. Sarah, seated at a terminal, scanned the readings with wide eyes. "We've dropped out of hyperspace. I don't know why, but—" Her voice trailed off as the external cameras adjusted, revealing a blazing golden star dominating the view. Gasps echoed through the bridge. The star's immense size and radiance seemed to swallow the surrounding void. Its searing light bathed the gate ship in an unrelenting glare. "Captain," Amelia called from her station, her tone urgent. "We're dangerously close to that star. Current trajectory has us heading straight for it." Jack's stomach churned. Options. The realization. The ship's control systems offered no manual override, a cruel reminder of their limited agency aboard the Archivian vessel. Amelia and Sarah worked feverishly at their terminals, searching for any hint of intention or error in the ship's systems. "The autopilot system hasn't deviated from its path," Sarah reported, her voice tinged with disbelief. "It's as if this was planned." "Planned?" Jake scoffed from his station. "You're telling me the ship wants us to dive into a star? What's next? A plunge into a black hole for fun?" "This isn't the time, Jake," Amelia snapped, her voice taut with tension. Jack raised a hand. "Focus, everyone. We need answers, and we need them fast." The debate. The bridge became a cacophony of voices. The scientists argued that the Archivians' advanced technology must have a purpose behind the apparent madness. Military personnel on Edge insisted on taking drastic measures, even suggesting detonating explosives to force a course correction. "Let me make this clear," Jack said, his voice cutting through the noise. "We're not risking the integrity of this ship. If this was a mistake, we'll find a way to fix it. If it wasn't—" He hesitated, the weight of the unknown pressing down on him. "Then we'll have to trust the ship knows what it's doing." "Trust the ship?" Jake said incredulously. "It's flying us into a freaking star, Jack." "Enough," Jack's voice thundered. "Unless you've got a better idea, let the scientists work." The tension builds. As the ship drew closer to the star, the hull began to groan under the increasing heat. The internal temperature of the ship, though still regulated, began to rise, adding another layer of discomfort. Sweat beaded on the crew's faces as they watched the star's fiery surface grow ever larger. Jake broke the oppressive silence. "On the bright side, at least we'll go out in style. Most people just die quietly. We'll go supernova." The bridge remained deathly quiet. "Not the time, Jake," Amelia said again, though this time her voice carried a faint hint of gratitude for the attempt at levity. Moments of crisis. Minutes ticked by, feeling like hours. The star now filled every window, its brilliant flames dancing and twisting in mesmerizing patterns. The ship's temperature regulators struggled to keep up, and the crew's fear reached a fever pitch. "This is it," one of the younger crew members murmured, their voice trembling. "We're going to die." "Not on my watch," Jack said firmly. He stood at the center of the bridge, addressing the crew with as much calm as he could muster. "We've faced impossible odds before, and we'll face them again," he said. "You're the best crew I've ever had the honor to serve with. We're not giving up, not until there's nothing left to fight for. Stay at your posts and do your jobs. We'll get through this." The turnaround. Just as the ship seemed destined to plunge into the star's fiery surface, it began to tilt. Panels along the hull slid open, revealing gleaming solar collectors that unfolded like massive wings. "What the—" Jake started, but Sarah interrupted him. "It's collecting energy," she said, her voice filled with astonishment. "The ship's recharging its power reserves." The realization hit like a tidal wave. The panic and despair that had gripped the crew began to ebb, replaced by a mix of disbelief and relief. Relief and revelation. As the ship stabilized in a fixed orbit around the star, Amelia and Sarah confirmed the readings. The ship's power levels, which had been steadily declining for days, were now climbing rapidly. "This explains the drop in hyperspace jumps," Amelia said, her voice steady again. "The ship's energy reserves were running low. It needed this." "Guess the Archivians weren't suicidal after all," Jake muttered, leaning back in his chair. The bridge filled with nervous laughter, a collective exhalation of tension. Some crew members slumped in their seats, emotionally drained, while others hugged or offered silent prayers of thanks. Character moments. Later, as the ship's systems completed the recharge, the crew dispersed to process the event in their own ways. In the mess hall, Jake regaled a small group with exaggerated tales of their near-death experience, eliciting genuine laughter for the first time in days. On the observation deck, Jack stared out at the star, its brilliance muted by the ship's protective shields. Amelia joined him, her expression contemplative. "You handled it well," she said softly. Jack didn't look at her. "I was scared out of my mind, Amelia. I thought it was over." "But you didn't let it show," she replied, "and that made all the difference." The jump back, with the ship's power reserves fully replenished, the solar collectors retracted, and the countdown to the next hyperspace jump began. Jack returned to the bridge, where the crew had regrouped. The air was lighter now, the earlier tension replaced by cautious optimism. As the timer hit 0, the ship's hyperspace engines roared to life, and the blinding star vanished into a swirl of light. Cliffhanger. In the quiet that followed, Jack sat alone in his quarters, reviewing the data Amelia and Sarah had collected. The Archivians' design choices continued to baffle him. "What are you preparing us for?" he murmured, staring at the cryptic symbols on the tablet he had found. The mysteries of the gateship deepened, and though the crew had survived another test, Jack knew their journey was far from over. Chapter 12. The Vanishing. The gate ship coursed through hyperspace, its hum a constant backdrop to the swirling cascade of energy visible outside. Days had passed since their last stop, and the unease among the crew was growing. Jack stood on the bridge, his arms crossed, scanning the monitors. The crew around him worked with a quiet intensity, though the tension was palpable. "How long has it been now?" Jack asked, breaking the silence. 4 days, Amelia replied from her station. "Longest jump yet. Everything's operational, but it's strange. The ship's never gone this long before." "Strange doesn't begin to cover it," Jake muttered, pacing nearby. "What if we're stuck in hyperspace? Forever?" "We're not stuck," Amelia snapped. "The ship knows what it's doing. It always has. We just don't understand the why." A return to the chamber. Determined to uncover answers, the crew returned to the hidden chamber with the mysterious chairs. The symbols etched into the dark material seemed to glow faintly in the artificial light, their purpose still a riddle. Jack stared at the circle of chairs, then at the tablet resting on the central console. The glowing symbols on its screen pulsed softly, as if beckoning him. "We need to figure out what these things do," Jack said, picking up the tablet. "Careful," Sarah warned, her voice tight. "We've barely scratched the surface of the data on that thing. One wrong move and nothing will happen," Jack interrupted. "We've been sitting on this for weeks. If we keep waiting, we'll never figure it out." The risk ignoring Sarah's protests, Jack approached one of the chairs and sat down. The chair's surface adjusted to his form, almost as if it had been designed for him. "Jack, don't," Amelia said, stepping forward. "We need more time to study this. We don't know what will happen." "We don't have time," Jack replied, his voice steady but determined. "The ship isn't stopping. Something's changed, and I need to know what." As the crew watched, Jack held up the tablet, scanning the rows of alien symbols. His hand hovered over the screen, hesitating for a moment before he tapped one of the icons. The activation. The chair began to hum, a low vibration that resonated through the room. The symbols on the tablet flared brightly, and the chamber was bathed in a golden light. "Jack!" Sarah shouted, rushing toward him. Before she could reach him, a blinding flash engulfed the room. When the light faded, Jack was gone. So was the tablet. The dropout. The crew barely had time to react before the ship shuddered violently. A loud hum filled the air, and the swirling patterns of hyperspace outside the windows gave way to the still blackness of space. "We've dropped out of hyperspace," Amelia shouted from her console. Jake, who had been frozen in shock, snapped back into action. "What? That doesn't make sense. The timer." "There is no timer," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "Look, the central clock, which had always displayed the countdown to the next jump, was blank. For the first time since they boarded the gate ship, the timer wasn't running." Chaos and panic. The chamber erupted into chaos. Amelia and Sarah shouted over one another as they tried to make sense of what had happened. Jake slammed his fist against the wall, his usual bravado replaced with raw frustration. "He's gone," Jake yelled. "Jack's gone, and so is the tablet. What the hell just happened?" "We don't know," Sarah said, her voice cracking. "The ship dropped out of hyperspace, but there's no indication of why. And Jack, he could be anywhere." Amelia took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay calm. "We need answers. Everyone focus. Sarah, check the ship's systems. Jake, help me analyze the data from this chamber. We'll figure this out." Reflections on Jack. As the crew scrambled to investigate, memories of Jack surfaced among them. Jake recalled how Jack had rallied them during their first alien encounter, his calm leadership saving their lives. Sarah thought back to Jack's quiet kindness, how he had supported her during the darkest moments of their journey. Amelia sat alone in the observation deck, staring out into the void as she replayed their last conversation. "He always took the weight of the world on his shoulders," she murmured, "and now he's gone because of it." The weight of the unknown hours passed, but the crew found no answers. The ship remained stationary, orbiting an unfamiliar star system. The chairs were inert, their glow faded. The data they collected offered no clues about Jack's whereabouts or the ship's sudden change in behavior. "This doesn't make sense," Sarah muttered, her hands shaking as she sifted through the readings. "It's like the ship isn't even aware that he's gone." "We're missing something," Amelia said, her voice firm despite her exhaustion. Jack wouldn't just disappear. There has to be a way to find him. A promise gathering on the bridge, the crew looked to Amelia for guidance. She stood at the center, her expression resolute. Jack wouldn't give up on us, she said, so we're not giving up on him. We'll keep working, keep searching. We'll figure out what these chairs are, what they mean, and how to bring him back. The crew nodded, their determination renewed. But as the gate ship hovered in the stillness of space, one question lingered in their minds. Where had the ship taken Jack?